Twitter feed, you have a tweet here from today. It's crucial to recognize, discuss, and approach men's mental health issues. And I want to go one step further. Feeling powerless is a common symptom of depression among men. Knowing that you can regain control is key to recovery. So you brought it up. What do you think is behind the depression and suicide rates or thoughts of suicide? What
So
have you seen?
most male depression comes about as a result of learned helplessness, powerlessness in their life. We go to therapy, and therapy teaches men how to feel loved, because that usually makes women feel better. Women are strongest when they feel loved and when they feel useful to the people that they love in their family. They feel protected, loved, cared for. Men feel best and strongest when we have power. And people mistake this. I don't mean the power to punch someone in the face or be a tyrant. Power to enact change in our lives, to stop our pain, to build something, to create something. Power is what men are looking for. And when we have learned helplessness, it eats away at the core of manhood and everything we are meant to do. We observe a problem, and then instead of acting upon it, our brain clicks and says, I have nothing to do. I have nothing to do. I have nothing to do. There's no hope. And we just fall. Our brain just can't even function the way it's supposed to. It falls apart into depression, into learned helplessness. Male suicide is not about wanting to die. Male suicide is about wanting the continued pain to stop. And that pain is just looking at your life and having absolutely no power or control to, for example, find a wife and have a child, to get a job that is stable and secure so you can provide for yourself and your family, to take care of a couple of friends that you have and protect them from the world, to build a network or a connection that matters, to amass wealth in any way, to hand off an inheritance, to do anything of meaning besides being stuck in a one-room apartment at a job that you hate with no wife, no children, can't go dating. The research shows that dating apps, it's about 10 to 1, 10 men to 1 woman, and you're competing against 9 other dudes just to try to get 1 woman. And most of those women won't look at you even the second time. So you'll go through thousands of potential candidates begging for 1 date and maybe get 1 response. And that probably won't even be a good response. It's overwhelmingly terrible. And these men have no hope. That is the problem. When we restore their hope, not like, here, I will hand you a solution. I'm from the government. I'm here to save you, as Ronald Reagan famously said.
Sure.
When we say, here is how you can have power in your own life to change yourself. Right? We start with the body many times. Like, here's how to change your muscles to be buff and be fit and look good and feel good. That gains power. And they say, what else can I change? Then they link up to other men and learn solutions. And then they say, whoa, I have power to make changes. The depression starts to evaporate and they thrive in life when they do that. But without it, they die.
So it's a whole different world right now. I mean, I'm 56 years old. And so when I was in high school, we didn't have, there was no internet, there were no iPhones, there were no dating apps. You actually, you tended to meet I met my wife in high school, actually in Sunday school. I'll go back even further. But my point is, you met your wife in an area where you kind of knew who the other guys were around you. And there's something that I want to dive in with you about this. You mentioned it with the dating apps, about 10 to 1 type ratio. You have a tweet out. In fact, it's out right now. In fact, you posted it today, and it's called The Harshest Truths About Why Dating. Let me back up. The Harshest Truths About Why Dating Sucks for Men. And in numbers 4 through 6, talk about how competitive it is right now. Tell us more about that, because I had never looked at it that way until I watched your video and your point about these harshest truths.
So if you think about a dating profile, it is very much like trying to apply for jobs. When you apply for a job, it's very competitive. Now imagine that you are competing against hundreds of other candidates for low-paying jobs that you're not actually even going to be very happy with. Let's say there are women that you are not necessarily really attracted to, and they don't really have good domestic or loving relationship skills. They just happen to be a woman with a warm body who will at least look at you twice. And you are competing with hundreds of other men for that one girl's attention. And the other dudes are jacked. They're taller than you are. They have better jobs than you have. They look better. They have better pictures. They pose better. They have better social skills. All of these features come into play. And the only thing these women look at is they glance at your profile for about 3 seconds and decide if they want to swipe left or swipe right. And they have seen a plethora of gorgeous, like jacked, wealthy men. And then there you are You're some engineer. Maybe you're an engineer. I get a lot of engineers in my
Yeah,
coaching. You're an engineer who's built your profile to be kind of considerate. You haven't had a professional come in and build your resume on your
sure.
dating app like you need. And your
You're busy.
picture's pretty good. It's you looking like a pretty average kind of guy. And you may not be in like a $4,000 suit, but you're in your nicest clothes, and you instantly get swiped away because she says, well, I have 200 other men over here who make $4 million plus and will instantly buy me a car for fun
Sure.
just to have sex with them. And you want me to go on these dates with you to Denny's or Applebee's? I don't really think so. She'll just instantly, within seconds, swipe away from you.
Right.
And that happens over and over and over for months or years. Guys go 10 years without a date
No,
because they just can't let, oh, yes. Oh, yes. They go
really.
long time between dates. And they come to me in coaching or in my community and they say, Adam, I've given up. I've given up on human women. I'm waiting for Mars to invade, and maybe their women will be better for me. Or they're waiting for AI to take over and robotic bodies, or they're waiting for a digital girlfriend because they've utterly given up on even finding an average woman to spend their life with. And these are not guys that are looking for supermodels and porn stars. These are guys looking for an average woman who wants to have a couple of kids with them and raise a family in a small little home, white picket fence. That's all
Sure.
these guys want, and that is beyond their reach.
That's what they want. And they are, I don't want to overstep here, but that's how their brain is hardwired. That's part of their legacy. It's more than what they want. That's where their purpose lies. And that really drives them. Am I close?
Absolutely. And that is the crux of it. If you take that away and say, hey, young men, you will be told you're evil your entire life for being a man and that you're automatically a rapist. And the only way for you to find someone to love you is to roll through these dating apps and be as competitive as possible to try to get the lowest hanging fruit of women that you possibly can. All the other ones will be up here. The research shows that 90% of women are actually competing for the top 10% of men on those dating apps. So 10-1 odds against men. And then all of that one woman, 90% of them will be competing for the top 10% of men. So the 10% of women that are left are going to be down here. So men have, what is that? Oh gosh, 0.1 woman for every 10 men. Imagine that. So if there's 100 men for one woman on these dating apps, that's what you're competing is 100-1. That is your odds of going out and finding a wife to have children with you. 101, 99% chance of failure. And for that 1% chance, you have to maximize yourself to the absolute utmost that you humanly can in a economy that's collapsing, in situations where you can't really get better and advance very much, where you are encouraged to take many types of drugs and slow you down, and corporations are fighting to distract you away from building a life and numb yourself instead. And it is so easy to just numb yourself instead and waste your best years just chasing pleasure to numb yourself away from the pain of knowing that it feels hopeless.
Well, if you're telling me that that's what's happening, I don't disagree. I don't argue with you, but their self-esteem has to just be at a rock bottom after months, years of not being able to connect with, in this case, another woman. They just got to be a wreck, aren't they?
It's the men in my emails and my DMs and when they walk into my private community the first time, it's, I am joining this, or I'm emailing you because it's a better alternative to suicide.
Oh
I
my
get that all the
gosh.
time, all the time. Adam, I'm emailing you. I'm not going to kill myself if you don't talk to me, but I am reaching out because this is a better alternative to killing myself, and I don't want to do that. Do you have any resources for me at all? That's how a lot of the
Okay.
conversations with men, with young Generation Z men under 23, that's how a lot of those conversations begin.
Okay. Wow. Well, okay. So that's serious stuff. And obviously you're in this to help them in some really meaningful ways. So that's, I mean, way to put your talents to good use there, Adam. That's incredible. You know, the other reasons that you have here, these harsh truths about why modern dating sucks for
Mhm,
men. You
mhm.
talk about how there's this phenomena of being ghosted. And
Yes.
I got to ask you this. Are you saying that when a guy finally gets that date and they go out to Denny's or Applebee's, that the woman then has the ability then to keep shopping and to see if there's someone else who might be better? That's got to
Oh yeah.
happen, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. If you take a lot of guys, if they even get a date, And this isn't just young guys in their 20s. It's guys in their 40s, guys even in their 50s. You take a woman on a date, you drop $100, $200, taking her somewhere nice. She orders the best thing on the menu and a bunch of drinks, and she's used to being pampered. And you struggle through a conversation. Most guys in dating, even in their 50s, I work with plenty of guys in their 50s, don't even know how to carry a conversation with a woman on the first 3 dates. They don't know the first 3 date method to move it toward commitment. They don't know how to build interest with her and test compatibility on the first 3 dates. I have to teach them that. Most of them, they drop 100, 200, sometimes more money on dollars on the first date. And she's just on her phone the entire time, scrolling through her phone, not even looking at him, barely making conversation. He's desperately dancing for her approval, like a bird
Oh.
dancing and trying to get a female bird into the nest. And she finishes the date, says, "That was great, thanks." And then maybe she'll give him like a pat on the back. And he says, "Okay, like I'll text you again." She says, "Yeah, that's great." Never hears from her again. She'll never
Hmm.
respond to his text ever again. She just goes home, has fun, and she's still on the dating apps rolling through. And he will never hear from her again. And he says, like, "What did I do wrong?" And
Yeah.
if you can get that 1% connection rate with 1% of women, you shoot at 100 women, you get one. So if you shoot at
Yeah.
1,000 women, you might get 10 dates. And then you get ghosted 10 times by those 10 women. And you have spent a couple $1,000s on those dates by that point of hard-earned money. These are guys in their 30s, 40s, 50s that are still going through this kind of stuff.
Sure.
It's a nightmare. Nightmare.
But Adam, what's the best way to follow you? You're doing a lot on YouTube and on Twitter and on your website. Tell us a little bit about how to follow you and get involved in some of the work you're doing.
Absolutely. So the biggest resource people love is my YouTube channel. I'm Adam Lane Smith over on research. Lane as in road, Lane. Adam Lane Smith. I'm also on my website, adamlanesmith.com. I have my coaching. I have a course on there, my attachment boot camp that shows you how to fix those attachment issues yourself or with a partner. I've got books on there. I've got my private community. I have everything accessible. If you love video, YouTube. If you love images and graphics, Instagram, I'm at Attachment Adam over there. You can find all my resources on those places, and I would love to talk to anybody.
Adam, what you were saying that I got thinking about some of the things that we were just chatting about. Marriage. Is marriage on the way out? I have to ask, and maybe it's just now I'm heightened all this discussion and all the challenges facing. But is marriage is on the way out, and what might marriage look like in 30, 40 years?
The reason you have marriage realistically is to raise a family, and people are having fewer kids than ever before, but most people want children and are just not able to have them. So if we are going to bring childbearing back into this world, marriage is going to have a whole new meaning and people will embrace it again. But until that time comes, why would people take a gamble on strangers that don't have the connections that they have and could destroy your life? If you don't want children or can't have children, most people won't take that risk.
Well, that's profound. Right back to getting back into the network of friends and family and starting there. Really good. Hey, one of the things that I did I was looking at your Twitter and your website. You do have a lot of really cool things like attachment boot camp and different community piece. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Mhm. So the attachment bootcamp is a video course that fixes your attachment in 7 hours. It walks you through the 10 steps I've created. If you are anxious, you're approval seeking, you're avoidant, you dodge out. If you're a couple who has those issues and want to fix them together, right? I said, if you have two people that want to fix it, they usually buy my course. They go through it together. After every module, they stop and ask each other questions and have the discussions they've avoided forever. And by doing that, it fixes your attachment with you and right there for you. Or you
Hmm,
jump in my private community. I have a video library exclusive to that group. I also have two group coaching sessions with me every single week where I teach you skills and I work with you right there. 24-hour access to other people who are fixing their attachment. There's building your local connection and building friends and family again, so you're not
good.
lonely anymore. And all of these resources are built here to help people who are serious about fixing this for life.